Hello everyone, welcome back to BCM Breaking News. So guys, this headline here says that Nigerian soldiers in Northeast demand end to repentant terrorists, integration, link attacks to leaks. And many people have been, reacting based on this particular headline. So somebody here tweeted and said, the saddest part is terrorists only surrender when they are surrounded by the Nigerian troops or when they know there's no escape route for them. They go back to their vomit thereafter. And that person tweeted and said, I support this 100%. Why release terrorists who murdered our friends and brothers, scattered families, all in the name of pardon and integration? It is totally wrong. And that person tweeted and said, Nigerian soldiers should start speaking out about impunity in the system while integrating repentant terrorists. And that person tweeted and said, I really feel their pain. It's only God who knows what these men go through daily. And then later, some of the state governments will come out and tell me these terrorists are not repentant after being arrested for what? Let them repent on their own, but not when the army arrests them. Anyway, guys, I'd like guys to listen to what Arise TV have to say about the insecurity going on in Nigeria and also about this particular headline and the reason why Katsina government said that he released these terrorists because of peace deal. Anyway, guys, listen to this video and please drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And I'm going to be right back to take you guys on more reactions.
Now, joining us right now with stories trending around the world is Anieze Osakwe.
Yes.
Good morning, Nani.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good to see you too. Good to see you all. We were just talking about movies. I have a lot of movies clearly to catch up on from the Golden Globes.
Thanks to Rotus, I know a lot about Sinners, but beyond that,
yeah, it was banging Sinners.
Yes.
I think it came out around April last year because I remember even when we were in Washington, there was like, oh, let's go see Sinners, let's go see Sinners.
We watched it like 6 times.
Sinners is epic.
Sinners watching Sinners.
Doctor.
There you
Isn't
go.
that interesting?
Doctor.
Okay.
Oh, no, imagine.
Yes.
You don't speak Yoruba.
Hello, man.
Only assimilated.
Exactly. Well, on that note, good morning to everyone out there. And thank you all for starting your day with us. We begin what's trending with people online reacting with a sense of optimism and hope when it comes to the fight against terrorism. After a new video released on Sunday showed the Nigeria Police Air Force Wing attacking and killing a number of unspecified terrorists in Kogi State. And according to an official statement from Kogi State Police, they say that this joint police-military attack has yielded results, that terrorists were removed, their networks taken out, and scores neutralized. Let's watch. And in a similar vein, on Saturday, we had the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, putting out a strong public warning saying that anyone who's seen aiding terrorists, bandits, or insurgents will be dealt with accordingly. Now, General Musa made these comments while being received as a guest of honor at the Armed Forces Remembrance Day golf tournament in Abuja. Let's see what he had to say about how a friend of a thief is still a thief.
Those bandits, criminals, insurgents, terrorists should stop, because they say the friend of a thief is a thief. For us, if we get to the battlefield and you are among them, then whatever happens to them happens to you. And it's important for those good Nigerians to provide necessary information as quickly as you see something, so the action should be taken. And the armed force is always ready to react.
But in the backdrop of all of this, we had Nigerian forces seeming to go all in the fight against terrorism. But the Katsina state government on Saturday fully defended its own decision to initiate the release of 70 people suspected to be involved in terrorism back into society. Now, according to the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Nasir Muazu, you see on your screens, the decision is all part of a peace agreement between communities and bandits that have repented across the state. So on the one hand, we have this large-scale operation between the Air Force and police to kill terrorists in Kogi. We have Musa making it clear that the federal government has a zero-tolerance policy against anyone aiding terrorists. But then you have this initiative from the Katsina state government to release repentant terrorists back into society. So Rufai, I'll start with you. How's the public supposed to reconcile all of this?
You remember Fela Kuti had a song, Confusion, breaky pony, yeah, pam 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 pam, double wahala for daddy body and the owner for daddy body, na double That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
The military chief is saying, we gotta kill them because yes, we gotta kill them. These people kill, they destroy lives, they maim. And you can see the efforts being spent. Do you know what it costs? I think it was the military chief that was saying it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a missile. When you fire a missile, you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. At the same time, the state government is saying they had a peace deal with the bandits, and they had the temerity, the unmitigated temerity to write to the Judicial Commission to release bandits because they had a peace deal with them. How mad can we get in this country? In one fell swoop. So if the military chief is saying that if you're a friend to a bandit, then you are an accomplice. The Katsina state government, can we by extension say they're accomplices in this? Because we need to be able to rate them out. These are people that are causing terror. And we have seen in the past, it's not today they're signing peace deals with bandits. They don't always keep to the agreements. God knows how many peace deals they've signed. They've signed peace deals in the past, but nothing came out of it. So I would like to go in line with what the military chief has said. We should not encourage the Katsina state government. In fact, they should call the governor to order. I don't know who supported this brokering of this peace deal that the bandits have the temerity to go across local governments. I think that was even the point they should have even arrested those bandits in the first place and make them face the full wrath of the law. We can't keep pampering insecurity. These are vestiges of a failed state.
Right.
Well, very quickly, I think the Katsina state government, regardless of the explanation by the Commissioner for Home Affairs and Internal Security, is guilty of the same thing that the Minister of Defense, General Musa, was talking about, aiding and abetting, which is a crime in itself, within the purview of Section 7 of the Criminal Code of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the Minister of Defense was saying that, look, if you cooperate and you support terrorists, you are guilty and you too can be punished. Because the receiver of stolen goods under Section 247 of the Criminal Code is also a thief. So if you are aiding and abetting and you are acting as a fence, helping criminals, don't forget the word bandits. We're talking about criminals here. People who are abducting other people. In one of the local governments in that same Katsina state, they abducted 162 persons. In another local government, 28. In another local government, 26. In another local government, 62. And now you are saying, oh, you have collected some persons back and you have released 70 persons. We have said it again and again. This culture of giving pepper soup and jollof rice and ashwebi to bandits and terrorists should have ended with President Buhari, who was an expert in what they call rehabilitation, reconciliation, which never worked. In fact, in one state, they even arranged wives for these bandits, and yet they continue to operate. So the point made originally by the Minister of Defense is that you will be encouraging these terrorists by identifying themselves, by giving a fresh definition to the Stockholm Syndrome, which is the problem that they have in Katsina State. We do not accept the explanation by the commissioner that you have prisoners of war, prisoner exchange, prisoner swap. That's not the case here. You are exchanging criminals with innocent people. All those 70 persons that were released and they've been negotiated with should be facing the full wrath of the law and not asked that their cases be withdrawn from the courts. I think it beggars belief. I think it's confusing. And this is why many people say that the Nigerian governments, particularly at the state level, they don't seem to understand what is going on. The position of the federal government is that we do not negotiate with terrorists. And then in Katsina, they are negotiating with terrorists and they are beating their chest about it. Imagine the commissioner say, if you are not happy, seek redress in the court of law. What insolence.
Yes, that's such a key point, that the state and federal government need to be working in unison together as opposed to going in different directions. But let's now take another story. We're here in Lagos. The world-renowned Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and her family are grieving, but they're also calling for accountability from the private hospital Eurocare after the death of her 21-month-old son, Kanu Nnamdi. So in a detailed legal notice put out on Saturday, Adichie's lawyers allege that the hospital, its anesthesiologist, and personnel as well neglected the duty of care for their son, who died on the 7th of January. Now, according to the notice, their child was referred to this hospital for procedures before a medical evaluation in the U.S. with an American team on standby. But in a notice, Adichie's lawyers outline a series of lapses from Eurocare, including the appropriateness and amount of propofol given to her child, a lack of continuous monitoring, a lack of resuscitation equipment, among a plethora of other issues. Now, lawyers say that these lapses make the hospital and personnel involved liable for medical negligence that led to the child's death. Now, as a result, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has now ordered a probe into the alleged medical negligence, while Eurocare noted in a Saturday statement that it had started a detailed investigation. We also know that the doctor involved in the incident has reportedly now been suspended. And Vimbai, I'll come to you on this because, one, this is such a tragic story that we took as it broke. But what's also been interesting to see has been how online so many people have now come out to share their own stories about how loved ones have either passed away or almost passed away because of medical negligence at hospitals in Nigeria.
Yes, and as a result of this, a lot of us have sort of traumatic responses when we go into hospitals now. You're on Google, you're on ChatGPT, you're double checking, you're paranoid because you want to ensure that everything is being done properly. However, this is a matter that is still being probed, is still being investigated. But at the foundation of it, what are the allegations? The allegations are that, when this anesthetic was administered, they say that medical professionals say that there are various stages of monitoring that need to happen after such an anesthetic has been administered, especially to a child. The account says that instead of this child, being monitored, being on oxygen, that the anesthesiologist kind of just, carried the child over his shoulder casually, from room to room, from various procedures and so forth. The picture that's painted is devastating, and especially from institutions that these private institutions are some of the institutions that people feel, well, this is where relief will come from, because people feel that in the public institutions, the lack of funding and the lack of medical personnel available is detrimental. Now, if you can't also turn and trust the private institutions, then what is going on? Again, the institution has responded, and they've said that they followed all due procedures. Investigation is underway, evidence will be tendered, and we'll get to the bottom of this. I do hope we get to the bottom of this. But in the morning, Dr. Abati made a very profound point, which is that in a period of just about 2 to 3 weeks, we've made global headlines. Nigeria has been in the headlines, number one, for insecurity when Donald Trump struck, which is totally unrelated, but I'm just talking about Nigeria's image right now globally. So you have headlines on that. Then following that, you have headlines about Anthony Joshua having a car accident. Now you have Chimamanda Adichie. What I'm saying is that Nigeria's global image currently is going to need a lot of work to be done. Is it PR work that needs to be done? Well, some people might say that's important, but I think that it's a moment for us to sit down and reflect and see how to get back to the fundamentals of nation building so that we can correct some of these wrongs that are now systemic failures that normal people who don't make headlines daily face and contend with on a daily basis, so that this stops being the norm. Again, our condolences to the family. We pray that justice is served. We pray that it's served speedily. And, beyond this, I pray that they can also get some necessary privacy to process all of this, because grief is a beast, and it comes in so many stages. And I pray that she's surrounded by love and care. And father as well, both mother and father are surrounded by love and care during this time.
Absolutely. May his soul rest in peace. Now let's move on to politics, where after 17 days and 23 local government area visits later, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike is back in Abuja after his tour of River State, where yesterday he told his critics, who may want to get him fired, that he's not going anywhere because, according to the minister, the only person who has the power to remove him from office is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, Wike made these comments while speaking to a crowd on Sunday in Obio Akbor, where he also spoke about how critical their local government area is to the election. Let's watch.
Our people will say, sack me. It doesn't lie in their mouth. If my appointer believes that I cannot offer anything again, he has a right. It's not that you should tell him. But I'm very proud that all the people are proud, that Rivers people are proud. And we can tell Nigerians we have not disappointed them as far as it is concerned.
Meanwhile, as Wike was speaking, we also had the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, calling for calm and peace in his state, while throwing some subtle shade at Wike, saying that dogs bark when they don't understand. Now, the governor made these comments on Sunday while addressing a congregation at St. Cyprian's Anglican Church in Port Harcourt during a commemoration of Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. Remember, this comes as Fubara is facing impeachment proceedings from the House of Assembly over gross misconduct. But according to the governor, everything in the state is going to be all right. Let's watch.
When we were marking the New Year dinner, I said something that dogs bark when they don't understand. Now see, I think a lot of you don't understand, and that's the reason why I don't shout, I don't complain. I know what I have. I know that I have what is supreme, and that is God. So I want everyone to be relaxed. What is important is peace for this dear state. And we'll get it.
One quick reaction before coming to you, Dr. Abati. Adebanji said, Governor Fubara, this is the tweet, with all due respect, peace isn't restored by proverbs, it's restored by power. You've been talking about peace since last year, yet the political temperature in the state is still at boiling point. While you're speaking in parables, the dogs you are referring to are busy marking their territories and locking down the grassroots. Now, Wike and Fubara are clearly two very different types of politicians in terms of their delivery, their tone, their approach to politicking overall. And their two speeches yesterday were very evocative of their differences, Dr. Abati. And I guess the question now is, who will win out?
Okay, I'll be very brief. Because only yesterday I had a sit down with the governor of former governor of Ekiti State on this same subject. So I don't want to. I want to wait for that interview and I'll watch it myself, and then we'll see other perspectives. However, I think that Minister Wike is right when he says that it is only his appointer that can remove him. I know many Nigerians have been saying he should be relieved of his position. But it's the prerogative of the President of Nigeria under Section 5 of the 1999 Constitution dealing with executive powers to give positions to whomever he deems fit. And it is within its responsibility to relieve persons of those positions, delegated powers of the president. Number two, I understand that here, and I've seen pictures showing that Minister Wike is now back to the Federal Capital Territory after spending 17 days in Rivers State, going from clan to clan, door to door, window to window, village to village, selling President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the people. As for those people who miss him in the Federal Capital Territory, because during the period there were issues in the Federal Capital Territory, including those who quarreled with their spouses, and they said it was because Minister Wike was not in town. At least now everybody will calm down that the minister is back in town. At the time, my argument was that whether he was in town or not, whatever will happen, will happen. What is important is to have solid structures in place. Number three is that we also read in the papers that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has now invited, the gladiators to the table for discussions and all that. And I said previously on this table that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as the president of the country has the responsibility to ensure that the situation in Rivers State does not go south on any account. Because if that were to happen, it is the people of Rivers State that will suffer. The long-suffering people of Rivers State who have been dealing with 1 day, one trouble, 1 week, many troubles, 1 month chaos, consistently since the beginning of this new dispensation in that state. They do not deserve to continue to suffer in that manner. So the intervention by the president, I think, is welcome.
Yeah.
But beyond all of that, the governor, Fubara, well, previously he had begged, he had been shown prostrating or kneeling down and all of that. But the parties involved in the conflict in Rivers State must give the people of Rivers State a chance, because they are the ones who have been shortchanged, given the wrong end, the short end of the stick, with state of emergency, with all the quarrels and all of that. I think the people deserve peace.
Yes.
And other politicians in Rivers State should perhaps see this as an opportunity to provide maybe a third option, an alternative to the kind of a crisis that they have in Rivers State.
Yes, and from Rivers State, let's now head to Edo State, where people there are commending Governor Monday Okpebholo's work on the notorious Benin-Sapele-Warri Road and the progress he's made to build it up. So it had been a federal road until recently, and we'll show you pictures, when it was taken over by the Edo State government. And according to residents there, who often protested that the road's inoperable state, the changes have now been palpable, as you see. Residents say that transport is eased and economic activity is slowly coming back to life, as this is a critical road that connects Edo to other states in the south-south and southeast. But let's stay in Edo State, because as the state makes strides when it comes to roads and infrastructure, activities in Asal West local government area came to a standstill this Saturday, with mass protests taking over as residents came out to protest the sharp uptick in kidnappings. So in videos circulating on social media, protesters are seen singing solidarity songs, tearing down 2027 campaign posters, while also blocking parts of the federal highway, because according to them, police there are not doing enough to keep them safe. Let's watch. And let's stay in Asal West local government area in Edo, because there's also this new video emerging on Sunday evening that really captivated social media. Why? It shows the exact moment on a CCTV camera where a man drives into a compound before gunmen emerge from a bush and take him away. Let's watch. Now, in a statement signed on Saturday by the governor, Monday Okpebholo, his press secretary, he said that his administration has invested in modern security apparatus and intelligence to tackle criminals, adding that kidnapping is being addressed. But clearly, the issue here is that for a lot of people, their lives in Edo are clearly being upended, and to see abductions happen on video is especially jarring, Rufai.
I mean, that's a sad reality. So I'm happy about the Warri-Sapele Road. I mean, very good one there, because that road has been like that in a deplorable state for a long time. But also the downside is the level of insecurity in Esaland. I have traveled most of that area, up to Lekeke, Ubiaja, Uromi, going down to Irua, and even Ekpoma. And at a point, you could actually travel on that road without needing a police escort. Today, it is quite difficult to travel. And that shows the level of insecurity. And that's why a lot of people are not happy about the governor. Because we have seen that it's just been lip service. We have not seen responses to the insecurity issue. You remember when some people were killed? They said they were hunters, they were riding around the state, and jungle justice happened, which we do not support, and some people were killed. He was quick to go out there, to go to the north, to be able to placate them. Yeah, they said because of national security and all of that. But the question is, the protesters that are protesting in Ekpoma and places like that, you've not brought succor to them. In fact, for good measure, there's a report making the rounds that one of the protesters was killed. That there was even a video of where one of the protesters was shot directly. So what will be done to bring hope and succor back to these people? And that's what leadership has to do. And you see, the true test of a government is how they can provide security for the people. We still have a couple that was kidnapped, I think around that same area, that axis, that the wife had been released, but something happened to the ransom money that involved Harrison Guamisho and all of that. And the husband has not been released till date. People are selling their properties to pay ransom. Livelihoods being destroyed as we speak. And that's why we like the governor to wake up. You see, leadership is serious business. Just not by saying that we've invested in heavy security and all of that. When we see the investment, we will know. We will know.
Absolutely. It'll be clear to everyone, you know, once security in Edo State is dealt with in a decisive manner. Now, before we take our milestone, let's quickly highlight our photo of the day, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu arriving on Sunday in Abu Dhabi in the UAE for the 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. Now, the president's aircraft touched down at Zayed International Airport, where he was received by Sheikh Shakbut Nahyan Al Nahyan, the Minister of State. Now, the summit is a global forum for leaders, experts, and civil society organizations to tackle issues regarding innovation in the energy sector and the finance